Welcome to the afternoon panel on investigating cybercrime against business in the EU. Results from the cybersecurity for businesses. And I'd like to welcome our speaker, Tommaso Comunale. And
Thank you.
Thank you. You may begin now.
Thank you. Yeah, perhaps I share the screen.
Yes, please.
Yeah, you should be able to see the
PowerPoint. We can see you perfectly.
Okay, nice. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to present a study and a project that I've been developing over the past few years together with my colleagues at the Center for the Study of Democracy, which is a public policy think tank located in Sofia, Bulgaria. My name is Tommaso Comunale, and I'm a security analyst and project manager who has been following this project on cybercrime against businesses in the Netherlands, Bulgaria, and Spain, which I will tell you more in a few minutes. Essentially, we developed a survey instrument, so a research tool to detect cybercrime and cyber victimization among companies in the 3 target countries. Because we found and we noticed in the literature that despite the increasing presence of businesses in the online sphere in the past decades and increasing cybercrime and cybersecurity threats that have been targeting companies and individuals, only few studies had developed a new level investigation of cybercrime against companies in EU member states. So based on our studies, we found that there was a need of a cross-country cybersecurity survey for businesses that could measure the real impact and extent of cybercrime and the factors that make companies more likely or less likely to report cyber victimization to law enforcement agencies or relevant authorities. The truth of the matter is that to date, there is now a study from the European Commission, which is called Eurobarometer, Flash Eurobarometer, which has also started to investigate these type of threats against companies. So back then, we decided to devote our effort and studies to the development of a cybersecurity survey for businesses, which would have 3 main objectives. The first one was to investigate cybercrime and cyber victimization among companies in Bulgaria, the Netherlands, and Spain, which, as I said, were the 3 target countries of our EU-funded project. The second objective was to analyze the reporting behaviors and the associated cost of cyber victimization to identify why companies were reporting or not reporting cyber victimization. And the last objective was to inquire about the cybersecurity measures and strategies that companies had developed or implemented in their business domain. So with these 3 objectives, we developed a novel survey instrument, which would have the 3 target countries, as already mentioned. Each country would consist, let's say, each country would have a sample consisting of 400 companies, which we designed as a national representative sample, which means that through computer-assisted telephone interviewing, we targeted all the universe of companies, including micro, small, medium, and large companies. And we use as a reference period the standard reference period, which is usually used in the surveys, which is the previous 12 months. So we asked through a subcontracting agency, within each country, we asked 400 companies what was the cyber victimization they had experienced, the cybersecurity measures they had been implementing, and the type of cyber threats and costs they had incurred in the previous 12 months. So with this, let's say, overview in mind, we deployed the survey, we collected the data, we analyzed the data, and we published the results on the project website, which is cyber.eu. And what we found across the three countries, was that on average, almost 1 in 2 companies of the 1,200 companies that we surveyed had been a victim and a target of phishing attacks in the previous 12 months. And as you can see from this visual representation, phishing attacks in the middle of the graph are the most relevant, let's say, type of crimes. 17% of companies on average were targeted by malware, which is different from ransomware. And slightly more than 1 in 10 companies was targeted by DDoS attacks. And business identity theft was also quite prevalent in 1 in 10 companies. So we use the standard categories of cybercrime from the previous literature to inquire about this cyber victimization. So it was quite an interesting result, although on a very descriptive level, to notice that phishing attacks, malware, were the two most recurring type of threats reported by companies. When I say companies, I mean that we targeted, we asked through the survey either IT experts or business representatives that had a knowledge on the IT infrastructure. So we only surveyed people who were in a position of providing effective knowledge and information about the cyber threats and attacks. Then, regarding reporting to the relevant authorities, because one of the other key objectives was to not only to inquire about cybercrime against companies and the type of cyber threats, but was also to inquire to which type of authority companies were reporting to having suffered from cyber crimes. And these graphs shows on the left the type of cyber crimes and cyber threats, and on the horizontal axis the type of relevant authorities that were reached out to report any cyber offense. And as you can see, website administrators and internet network service providers were the two most recurring relevant authorities that were reached out. So essentially, the larger the square, the more the number of companies that declare to have reported to that type of authority. Some other authorities, as bank or credit card company on the top level, were mostly reported as relevant authorities for attempt of accessing a company's account, which is no surprise. And another trend that is partially visible is that ransomware in the middle of the graph was basically almost evenly reported by companies when it comes to website administration, internet and service providers, but also the police and outsourced cybersecurity providers. So one of the takeaway of this graph and this type of information is that it's interesting to notice that the police, which is actually one of the state authorities that would be mostly, let's say, involved in this type of dynamic, was actually not so much involved compared to other types of relevant authorities. Then, talking still about reporting behavior, we inquired about the main factors for reporting. And among the Bulgarian companies, the three most recurring reasons were to avoid or prevent repeated cyber victimization. So more than 1 in 2 companies declare to having reported cybercrime because of prevention of additional type of offenses, but also to support the authorities in fighting incidents like that in the future, almost 1 in 4 companies. And then the belief that it was the right thing to do was also reported by 1 in 3 companies among the Bulgarian sample. For the Dutch and Spanish companies, we also found that legal obligations and mandatory reporting, together with preventing repeated victimization, were two of the reasons mostly reported for having reached out to the authorities. But also seeking help with the incident to prevent further losses. And again, the moral, let's say, idea that it was the right thing to do. So this type of reasons somehow point out to the fact that prevention of repeated victimization, but also the belief that it is the right thing to do was one of the factors for which companies reached out to the companies. Although you can see from the percentages that, and also from the previous graphs, that it was not so much prevalent as one would imagine. But still, there are some good takeaways from this initiative. For what concerns underreporting to the authorities, so the most recurring reasons for which companies did not report to relevant authorities across the 3 countries, there were 3 key factors. The first one is that the belief the companies thought that the police and other authorities could not do anything to help, and you can see at the top level of the table. So, for example, for what concerns ransomware, 100% of the companies in the Netherlands thought that authorities could not do anything to help. So that was the reason why they did not report the incident to the authorities. But also, and this is also relevant, the 2 other key reasons for not reporting were that companies dealt with the incident internally, so they managed within their own security team the issue or the incident, and also because they thought it was too trivial or not worth reporting. So they didn't bother to reach out to the authorities to seek help or to make a crime reporting file. This is also interesting because in the literature there was also the fear of reputational damage as one of the key theoretical reasons for not reporting cyber offenses. So the notion that companies would be concerned about a negative impact on their reputation if the public opinion became aware about having suffered a cyber data breach or a cybersecurity attack. But we found no evidence in our study that fear of reputational damage was a key reason for not reporting. So lack of trust, which is essentially they cannot do anything to help, and the fact that they dealt with the incident internally or they thought it was too trivial to reporting were the 2 key reasons for not reaching out. Then moving on to the next slide, okay. So the conclusions that we reached through the study and through the reports, which are openly available on the website, is that of course reporting behaviors varies among the 3 countries, and the Netherlands has come out as the most virtuous country in this regard, which means that in the Netherlands companies had the highest reporting rates for almost all type of cybercrime. And in terms of cyber victimization, approximately 1 in 3 companies reported to have suffered at least one cyber attack in the previous 12 months. But then when it comes to reporting and the reasons for reporting, addressing the company's distrust in the authorities remains a crucial element, because as we've seen, they cannot do anything to help is one of the reasons for not reporting. And this goes along with the need for increased awareness and support for companies to report cybercrime to external entities. Because, and this is the last point, most of the companies declare that the lack of clear reporting channels and awareness of what was the right way to report to the authorities was also one of the reasons for not reporting. So in some countries, there are too many ways to report a cyber incident, or there is no clear indication about what is the right reporting channel, and this may discourage companies to reach out to the authorities for the cybercrime that has occurred. I think this is everything on my side. I'm more than happy to reply to any answer, curiosity, and also encourage you to visit the cyber.eu website for knowing more about this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation. So, yeah. Is there any questions or comments from the from the room will be passing the microphone if, there are any.
Okay.
In that case,
Okay.
thank you, Tommaso, for your excellent, great presentation. And I'd like to, thank you all for coming to this panel and welcome. Feel free to come over to our, next panels in the afternoon. And thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.